Oops. Yes, Stella, what is it? Yes, Stella, what is it? What?
Miss Matthews,
Yes?
the board members are here.
Oh, finally. Send them right up, please. Just give me a second. Send them right up. Finally.
Paul! Oh, Julien, comment ça va? Ça va bien! Oh, un plaisir, tu descends pas souvent à Montréal, hein? Ça fait longtemps! Hey! Good to see you, man. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. You look beautiful. How are you? How's the board? Paul! That's been a while. Hi. And you're on TV. I know what you're treating about in the papers. Are you taking the kids with you?
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you doing it, Anya?
Oh, thank you. I'd just like to welcome all you board members and our consultants to CAP headquarters. Now, we have a lot to discuss, so could we please get settled? Sit down. Thank you.
Who's she?
Yeah.
What? Allô? Je t'entends pas là. Allô? Hi, Mike, how are you? Est-ce que les gens t'entendent? Yeah. Petit cul, j'entends rien là. Bah écoute, moi je viens savoir.
Ready for a meeting here.
C'est quoi le problème? T'as avec Sabine?
So,
Je peux pas là. Oh non,
when would you want that done?
Crétin! Aïe, non, j'ai son numéro juste là. Attends, bon, ben, il faut que je fasse tout, hein. Vraiment, c'est ridicule.
Just let me get the.
Ok, je l'appelle. Je t'appelle maintenant, ok? Arrête. Bon, la patiente.
Thank you. Now, I would really like to start this meeting now so we can get out of here at a decent hour. So if you would just please turn off the cell phones, that would be fabulous, darling, so we can get started.
Gotta go.
I'll call you. Il faut que je quitte. Ok. Je te rappelle. Non, Félix, je voulais te parler, ouais.
Thank you. Now, as you know, Chief Dwight Dory cannot be here today, and as I am his executive assistant, I will be running this meeting. I would like to start first with a summary of the minutes of our last meeting. Number 1. After many months of discussion, we have finally reached an agreement to change our logo. We now have the cap eagle, which has replaced the buffalo, thank you, from many years ago when we used to be called the Native Council of Canada.
I still like the buffalo better.
Really?
No.
No. You have to see the numbers. We focus tested. Went all across the country. The eagle is more progressive. It flies high. It sees from above. The buffalo, it's down low.
Hello, okay.
They heard them now for designer burgers.
Okay.
You know, this is what they do.
Could we, move on to some new business? Thank you. Jeff.
Yes. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll find that my presentation says it all.
It's hard to believe that 30 years have passed since CAP was founded as the Native Council of Canada. Who would have thought in those early days that a national Aboriginal organization would even succeed, let alone rise to prominence today in support of more than 800,000 off-reserve Aboriginal people living in urban, rural, and remote areas throughout Canada.
No real place to call home, except maybe for a road allowance shack, a makeshift shelter in the bush, or a cardboard box on Skid Row, the longest street in Canada. Deplorable living conditions with no electricity or running water. Menial jobs where they existed at all.
And not the kind of education most people would aspire to. Not an enviable position for Canada's first citizens, to say the least. But that's just the way it was. Fortunately, the early pioneers of the Native Council believed it didn't have to be that way. In the Dark Ages, maybe, but not in the 70s.
It's amazing what a little money and a lot of faith, determination, and hard work can do against a sea of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, without even an Indian Act for a base of support, however minimal. That's why they set out to change the status quo, to right the wrongs, to hold a candle in the darkness. First came the core funding from Secretary of State, a vital and continuing partner with the Native Council and the Congress that has remained for all our 30 years. It was a lifeline, giving the Council the means of support to build the organization from coast to coast and into the far north. With that, the Council lobbied government for employment programs and jobs for off-reserve Aboriginal people. And they came, in the form of the Local Initiatives Program, the Opportunities for Youth Program, and others that laid the foundation for the more sophisticated Aboriginal employment and career development programs of today.
They lobbied for decent shelter for Aboriginal people and won. Winter warmth, residential rehabilitation, and the first major breakthrough in getting Aboriginal people a place to call their own, the Rural and Native Housing Program. The result? Thousands of homes repaired, new homes built in communities across Canada through Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation.
But there were other items on the agenda too. The Council's active involvement with the James Bay Cree in establishing the first land claims agreement in Canada. The Council's leaders worked with a senior cabinet committee in the Trudeau government and secured a formal process to establish potential claims for Métis and non-status Indians across Canada. Another major breakthrough for off-reserve Aboriginal people.
And a crowning achievement. Round-the-clock negotiations between the Council's president and then Federal Justice Minister Chrétien that gave Aboriginal people a place in the most sacred document in Canada.
It was the moment when the words Indian, Inuit, and Métis became enshrined in the Constitution of Canada, and our rights became recognized and affirmed. No longer the forgotten people, only time can tell.
And so the 80s moved on. Constitutional conferences on Aboriginal rights with the Trudeau and Mulroney governments, along with the provinces and territories. Aboriginal people continuing their fight for their place in this land, not just for the recognition of our rights, but making them a reality. And, with all things Aboriginal, a continuing struggle.
Nowhere was this more evident than in the years of cajoling, pleading, lobbying by the Native Council and Native women to right a serious wrong. And finally came Bill C-31, the act that allowed some non-status Indians as well as Métis people to regain their status as Indians, no longer dispossessed, at least for some.
Enter the 90s. The previous decade, with its many highs and some lows, set the stage for the increasing widespread attention to the Aboriginal peoples, our organizations, and our issues.
Charlottetown was tried and failed Aboriginal people and the country, just as Meech Lake had.
Then there was the most comprehensive single attempt to research, catalog, and present the issues of concern to Aboriginal people ever attempted. After 3 years of intensive effort and cross-country consultations, came the publication of the 10-volume Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples. Would it become the blueprint for the future, or another dust collector?
7 years later, the jury is still out, particularly for off-reserve Aboriginal people. But for what had now become the Congress of Aboriginal Peoples, another document of importance was signed. A political accord between the Government of Canada, Privy Council Office, and the Department of Indian and Northern Affairs and the Congress. An accord of promise for off-reserve Aboriginal people that has yet to live up to its promise, but is one that provides an excellent framework for us to take our rightful place in this land. And so the Congress continued its journey into the new millennium.
Great work, Jeff.
Excellent work, Jeff. Very nice. Really commended.
I need a smoke.
Hey, George, you cannot smoke in here. As a matter of fact, you can't smoke anywhere in Ottawa, so you know what? I suggest we take a quick break and meet back here in 5.
Okay.
What do you say, Don?
Well, I, for one, think it's a great thing. I can finally go into a restaurant or a bar and enjoy my meal without losing a lung.
No. It's going to kill the bar business.
Everyone knows beer and cigarettes go together.
Hallelujah.
What do you think, Don?
Well, fundamentally, I think hold on, Don. Just wait a minute. Anyone who doesn't like smoke can just go someplace else.
Well, how fair is that for us non-smokers? Well, what do you say, Don?
Well, principally, the crux of the matter...
Listen to what he has to say. I don't think Don knows anything.
Well, then who knows where I can get an espresso around here? Because if you think I'm going to drink that tar they serve downstairs, you're sadly mistaken.
Sure.
Yeah, there might pack of smokes.
Careful there.
Take time in your life to love what you do. Freedom comes from inside. No one can give it to you. You love. Always follow your heart. Live from the money, honey, yeah. Oh, your life will be lost out. Lost out. town.